Hello and good evening, our beloved viewers. It's 9 p.m. You are watching on Live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the major stories. The National Assembly first session of second ordinary session. Closing of the 58th meeting of the steering committee. And on the regional scene in Mali, 11 people killed in a bomb blast. Those were the top stories. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, issued a presidential decree classifying the Army Fruit Movement as a terrorist group. According to this decree, member of the Fruit Army Front, anyone who contributed directly or indirectly to the activities of this group will be subject to the criminal penalties stipulated in the national anti-terrorist legislation. This decree shall enter into forces from the moment of its issuance. It was on Thursday the President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, presided over the first session of the second regular session in the presence of the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and all the deputies and ministers. This session aimed to discuss draft law number 170 for 2000 for the year 2022. It is issued by the 8th legislature regarding the classification of the Army Fruit Movement as a terrorist group. During the session, the President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, sent his heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims who fell in the barbaric attack. The National Assembly and they adopt bills number 170 for the year 2022 issued by the 8th legislature unanimously. The President of the National Assembly, Mr. Mohamed Ali Ahmed, delivered a speech at the outset of welcoming the Member of Parliament and the government participating in the second regular session of the National Assembly. He said, I welcome you, all of you, in the second sitting of the parliamentary body, which is a special session where we are evaluating the draft law number 170 that came out in the year 2022 in the 8th Parliament, which is a draft law that makes an army group a terrorist group who were brutally attacked by some of the soldiers who were stationed in the surrounding area. Taken into account the advantage of this opportunity, I offer my condolences to the families of the soldiers who died in the attack and who were a martyr for the nation. The House of the People's Representative is also entitled to stand by the side of the nation and the forces of our country. The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed expressed in his speech, and he expressed his warm condolence to the families of the victims and the army forces following the terrorist attack carried out by the terrorist group known as Fruit. The Prime Minister said in his speech, terrorism has hit our country in a barbaric way, which were organized and executed attack. They took away 7 of our brave soldiers in service of the nation. This instance was so serious, so painful. I wanted to express to the nation my sympathy, my affection, my solitude to the family and the close family for the victims. The Republic is always at the side of their soldiers. My toe also goes on to the wounded soldiers and those who are missing, as their loved ones. The Prime Minister also added in his speech, our country has, since its accession to the independence, gone through a social, political, and economic crisis, but we have always came out of it stronger. This crisis sometimes led us to the army conference to confront by the several occasions we resorted to our ancestral values of conflict resolution, which resulted in an agreement between the Republic and the Food Rebellion, in particular the ABA agreement. These elements supported and organized from the outside, and the outside have over the year turned into a criminal and terrorist gang. On the other hand, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamel Mohammed asked the deputies to adopt this legal project to reduce the danger of the criminal groups known as Fruit from the terrorists. He said in his speech, "Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you as a representative of the Djiboutian people to vote for this bill in an emergency procedures to respond to the mention of concern by the terrorist attack near the nation. The Djiboutian are waiting for this strong message of their representative. This project is fully in the line with our state of right, since the National Assembly will control all the measures in this respect within the time of form provide within the time and form provided for the Constitution, which is also all its strength from resolution number 1373 of the Security Council of the United Nations, adopted on 28 November 2001, which declares itself that the acts of terrorism are contrary to the principle of the Organization of the United Nations," he concluded. At the conclusion of the session, the member of the parliament officially gave their votes of confidence to the draft law number 170 in the year 2022, which determined to combat against and prevent the terrorist group. The member of parliament approved the draft law with a standing vote. The People's Republic of China, through the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, also condemned the terrorist attack in Djiboutian soil, which left 7 Djiboutian forces dead, 4 wounded and 6 missing, and offer condolence to the families and the victim of this terrorist attack. The People's Republic of China also offer its sincere condolence and sincere sympathy to the families of the victims. This helpful act wishing a speedy recovery for the injured. Accomplishing the assignment mission even in a context of stress, fatigue, and uncertainty require a crew with a strong physical and mental skills, the characteristic in an effort to meet the growing threat. Pilot and sailor are prepared for the combat, and this is what the Chief of the General Staff of the Army Forces Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim wanted to show during the earth and naval maneuvers that were organized today, Friday, in this regard. The Chief of the General Staff and the Chief of the Defense Staff headed to the southern depot of the Djiboutian Air Forces, where they were received by the commander of the Air Forces, Colonel Wahib Musa, and his deputy, in addition to the personnel and means that have been on high alert since the 6th of this October. For the second time in a new and the role of the corner team reviewed the systems consisting of the air materials units, the pilot and the mechanical staff, but also and inspected the aircraft in a very dynamic atmosphere. As part of this visit, the Air Forces at the General's instruction organized a structured scenario allowing Air Forces pilots to improve their skills and test a new tactic using their old and new aircraft.
tahay awoodii lagu aarsanayay moog tahay askariyo ina tahay awoodii lagu aarsanayay moog tahay askariyo ambaqaadki noloshiyo eebadii dagaalkiyo indhihiina tagay moog tagay askariyo asaaskii nabadiyo abaabulih guushiyo ambaqaadki noloshiyo adduunyada dhammaanteed udubkoodii baato adduunyada dhammaanteed udubkoodii baato haddaan armi jirin odayada gaboobiyo ubadkiyo haweenkiyo oryuhu ma seexdeen adduunyada dhammaanteed udubkoodii baato adduunyada dhammaanteed udubkoodii baato haddaan armi jirin odayada gaboobiyo ubadkiyo haweenkiyo oryuhu ma seexdeen ifka intaan ku noolahay waan ku iilanaynaa kugu hor qabowna ku ammaananaynaa ifka intaan ku noolahay waan ku iilanaynaa kugu hor qabowna ku
On the other hand, the Chief of the Staff of the Army Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, accompanied by the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Tahir Ali, went early this Friday morning to the headquarters of the National Navy. The military delegation was received by the commander of the National Navy, Colonel Ahmed Tahir, and the commander of Djibouti Coast Guard, Colonel Wais Umar. The two generals, accompanied by the commander of the National Navy and the Coast Guard, boarded the patrol boat, which left the berth of at about 7:30 in the morning to return to the naval exercise area in the original area. Indeed, during this process, almost all the naval set of the National Navy and Coast Guard were brought together in order to prepare and train seafarer in Djiboutian water, but also to enhance the operational capabilities of the National Coast Guard and Navy. It will be noted that this process and type of training activities falls within the framework of the strengthening the land, air, sea system of the Republic of Djibouti. These air and sea exercise represent the first step of the Djiboutian army in its war against terrorism, but also with which aims to stabilize and destroy the basic political and human structure of our country. The Djiboutian army intend to use all its resources to maintain an atmosphere of peace and security in Djibouti, especially in the western region where the Fruit Army groups is currently trying to create an atmosphere of terrorism in this sector.
tahay ma og tahay askariyo aasaaskii nabadiyo abaabulihii guushiyo ambaqaadkii noloshiyo eebadii dagaalkiyo indhihiina tahay ma og tahay askariyo abaabulihii guushiyo
Other news now, Prime Minister Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed received the Afro Steering Committee today at the end of the morning in the the Prime Minister is a honorary lunch. These steering committee delegation were introduced to the Prime Minister by the Minister of Justice, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdon. The discussion between this Afro steering committee led by its president, Mr. Mohamed Faye, and Prime Minister focus on the organization of the 58th meeting of the committee, and as well as the recommendation and result of the work on this meeting, which took place took place yesterday in Djibouti. The Prime Minister Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed thanked the President of the Afro-Say for the choice and privilege granted to the Republic of Djibouti for the organization of the 58th meeting of the Afro-Say. And indeed, the policy of Djiboutian head of state attach particular importance to the good financial governance and good management of the public resources, as well as the public the accountability. Attending this meeting, the Chief of the Staff of the PM, Mr. Ali Silai, and the President of the Court and the auditors of Djibouti. The 58th meeting of the Steering Committee of the African Organization of the Supreme Audit Institution, known as the AfroSay, concluded on Thursday at the Campeski Hotel. It is noteworthy that this 3 days meeting which began on the 11th of October, was held under the supreme patronage of the Minister of Justice and prison authorities in charge of human rights. More than 100 representatives from 25 countries participated in this meeting, including the 12 permanent members of the organization is a steering committee. The participants in this meeting discussed setting up the necessary mechanism for transparency, good public financial management, and good governance, which is one of the main challenges of the continent. The Djibouti meeting achieved a remarkable success on the main issues on the agenda of the meeting, and the member state of the steering committee adopted several important points, namely approval of the report of the Secretary General of the AFROSA, the performance report of Executive Director, and finally the report of the organization's external auditors. The steering committee also adopted the report of a sub-regional organization, in particular the African Organization of Supreme Audit Institution for the public finance in Arabic, English, and French. Delegates from the African higher institution also endorsed the activation of the specialized bodies and technical committee with the creation of organizational document and work plans for the coming years. The member of the steering committee also examined and verified the financial regulations of the AFROSA, the manual of the General Assembly, in particular the rules of procedures in General Assembly, the rules of technical committee, the work plan and the budget of a committee. In resolution, the steering committee endorsed the program for responsible financial governance in Africa. In the seven resolution, the AFROSA steering committee adopted a recommendation regarding the participation of the member of 28 to be held in the Rio de Janeiro in Brazil from 7 to 11 October 2023. In an interview with the Secretary General of the African Organization of the Supreme Audit Institution, Minister of State in Cameroon, she referred to the importance of these occasions and said in her interview, the President of the Court of an account indicate that the African Organization of a Supreme Audit Institution has developed many of its mechanisms to improve good governance and financial control. During the meeting, the organization put forward the regulation that it's use its work to participate the rest of the member of the organization, including Djibouti, through its control activity. It seeks to upgrade its performance related to the financial control and enhance the quality of the branch. The President of the Court of the Account of Djibouti is Ms. Ismahan Mahmoud Ibrahim. She recalled in an interview that she granted us the important discussion and the important decisions were taken in Djibouti during this meeting of the AFROSA concerning the transparency of the management of the organization, which is done in the participatory way and with the review of account by an auditors. The African Organization AFROSA work by example and improving its procedures and its models in this way. A high-ranking Djibouti delegation will participate in the city of Geneva, Switzerland, the first global challenge, which is an international competition in the field of Olympic-style rowboat from the 13th to the 16th of October Upon their arrival in Geneva, the Djiboutian delegation headed by Mr. Abdi Uthman was received by Ms. Khadra Ahmed Hassan, permanent ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to Swaziland and to the United Nations office in Geneva, the World Trade Organization, and the other international organization. And the ambassador congratulated the Youth Technology and Innovation Center team on their participation in the sector, because since the science and technology are pillars of sustainable development at a time when Djibouti is firmly committed to digital transformation, this competition is held annually to revive the passion for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics among more than 2 billion young people around the world. This international competition allows students to learn skills and also work to convince various governments and organizations around the world to take the base approach to the education and support it's by investing in their young people who will soon impact the world. The National Assembly of Local Committee in Djibouti, in partnership with the French-speaking organization of the state cities and founded by the European Union, organized a workshop on good practice to support Djiboutian civil society at the People's Palace. The work of the workshop is part of a civil society participation project in good governance and local development in Djibouti, implemented by the National Association of Local Cooperative in Djibouti in partnership with the French-speaking state organization, but also the city, and founded by the European Union. The workshop aimed to stabilize and develop their approach to support civil society through the implementation of the civil society participation in the local governance and also development project in Djibouti, but also to carry out a mission and provide guidelines for advocacy and proposal for all civil society association and organization member of a 5 regional development coordination. This committee and member of the 3 municipal office of the city of Djibouti. This workshop also was attended by the head of cooperation for the delegation and the European Union, um, the representative of the Minister of Interior, Minister Delegate for Decentralization, representative of the 5 Interior Region, Head of Regional Council, and Mayor of Djibouti City, as well as Mayor of municipalities, representative of the active, dynamic civil society, were attend in this meeting. The development agency and representative of the various technical partners who provide support in the implementation of the project and other official projects. In his speech, the President of the National Assembly of Local Committee in Djibouti touched on goals that aims to exchange views among the participants in order to share uh, regarding the results of the observation these various actors in order to determine the knowledge, know-how, and personal skills that allow the implementation of procedures in order to suit them even. In Ali Sabih region hosted the launching activities of the second phase of the polio vaccination campaign, which started for 10th to 14th this month of October, similar to the capital Djibouti and other internal region. The the prefect of Ali Sabih region and the head of regional council, notables of the head of regional participated in these activities, which will target all children under the age of 5 years. The team assigned to implement the campaign, which include vaccinators and mobilize or carry out the important health task of vaccinating all children of the region and remote area belonging to Al Sabeh region for the purpose of vaccinating target children whose age does not exceed 5 years. This is asking parents to facilitate the work of the vaccination team in order to effectively protect their children for the polio. The Al Sabih region hosted the launching activities of the second phase of polio vaccination campaign, which is started from the 10th of October. The prefect of Al Sabih region participated in this activity, which will target all the children under the age of 5. And now in Tajora region officially launched the work of the national campaign for vaccination against polio at the headquarters of the regional hospital in the province of Tajora. The prefect of Tajora region head and the head of educational council and the local authorities participated in the initiative to vaccinate children under the age of 5 years with the aim of protecting them from polio. In addition, the team in charge of implementing the vaccination project, the vaccination program have been deployed through the region in order to vaccinate all the children under the age of 5 years. The work of the polio vaccination campaign comes within the framework of preventing the spread of the polio in Tajora region. And now moving on to the international scenes, at least 11 people were killed and 53 other were injured on Thursday when an explosive device exploded as a civilian passenger bus passed through central Mali, a region often witnessing violence from militant. Medical sources said the explosive device exploded as the bus passed on the road between the country in Mali in the region on Thursday afternoon, according to security sources. Medical sources also announced that 47 wounded in the attack were taken to the hospital. This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening.